I think of Jim Carrey and Liar Liar.
Oh
When
my
he-
god.
in that bathroom scene. That's pretty much what's going on.
Elf apparition and disapparition, that is not wizard magic, but a hover charm is. Dobby's a genius.
Welcome back, witches, wizards, and muggles to Squibs Corner. I am Jeremiah.
And I'm Andrew.
And today, you know what? Before we get into the chapter, I wanted to ask you a question. And
I will answer your question.
it has
with
to
a
do
question.
has to do with I don't know, like ghosts and stuff like that.
Talk to me.
Have you ever, it sounds like I'm losing my voice. Have you ever used a Ouija board?
No.
No.
No,
Have
not a
you
chance.
ever thought about it?
No.
No.
No. I don't
I
do
want
scary
to hear.
things.
I want to hear your knowledge on this because I'm pretty sure you got some information on this.
No. I don't do scary things.
Supernatural things.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so let me say this. Are Ouija boards, do they actually communicate with somebody unseen? I don't know. Okay? I'm going to throw that out there.
Yeah, I was doing some research, and they said they did some research with people using Ouija boards, and there's this thing that the body does that it will have like your muscles will have like an unconscious reaction sometimes, and so
Sure.
they're wondering if it's like an unconscious, like you're unconsciously moving.
Right. Right.
So.
Yeah, no, I've just never used it. I don't do, like I said, I don't do scary stuff.
Yeah, I've never experienced anything supernatural. I think the closest I've ever been is, so I have a travel trailer that was my grandma's, and then she gave it to my dad when he moved down here. Well, like, he wasn't on the property at the time. He was at a trailer park, living at a trailer park, and he died inside that trailer.
Your father died inside the travel trailer that you now own.
Yes. So I brought it back
boy.
once we moved down here. I redid the floors and a whole bunch of stuff in there because he had a dog that was in there when it happened. Every once in a while, and it happened a lot. So I had his ashes, and I didn't know what to do with them. I couldn't figure out.
Sure.
I don't know what to do. It's not that I didn't want to get rid of him. I just literally didn't know what to do with him.
Sure.
And then a couple years later, my grandma dies. And then about a year later, my aunt died. All in our house. In our house.
Oh, boy.
But here's the thing. Once my aunt died, we got people together and we spread their ashes around the property. That's what they wanted. And I was
Okay.
like, oh, okay, I guess I'll do that with my dad's.
Sure, yeah.
And when I did that, so before I did that, the door to this trailer, I'd come home, it'd be open.
Don't do that.
I'd look in there.
No, sir.
Nothing's gone. Nothing's moved.
I don't like that.
My grandma, when she was alive, she'd say, oh, well, if the trailer's not perfectly level and it's windy,
Sure.
sometimes it'll flex and the door will open.
Okay.
And I look at the trailer and go, there's no way these beams can flex like that in the wind.
Sure.
Because I slam the door and tug on it,
And it
move
latches.
rock the
Yeah, it
trailer.
does
Yeah.
yeah.
So there's no way. And it would happen a couple times a week, sometimes maybe once or twice a month. And after I spread the ashes, that's been over a year. I think it only opened once. And that was it. So if I had to say if I had any experiences with it, I would say that would be
Sure.
it. And
Sure.
it could be a coincidence. I don't know.
Sure.
Just real strange that after, I got rid of the ashes, spread them around the property with his family, that it kind of stopped. So, it's... Yeah, it's...
You
What
live
a
in
way
haunted house.
to
You
open
live in
up
haunted
a
house. That's what I'm
Harry
hearing.
Potter podcast.
Sure.
Well, that's
Sure.
why I was thinking about a Ouija board. I was like, with the things I know that have gone on here, I mean, nothing bad, natural causes. But I was like, man, that'd be kind of cool. But then I started looking into it, and it said, if it is real, what it is demons acting as your family members, and you're thinking it's a real thing, but then you open up that demon to your world, and it's kind of it's a bad thing bad door to open up. So I was like, okay, maybe I won't do that.
I did have the thought several years ago, because I don't understand. Like, people keep buying Ouija boards. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't get it. I don't know who's making Ouija boards. Like,
I think it's a toy maker.
What factory is like, hey, we need to make a Ouija board? But I thought about selling a prank Ouija board and being like, and have an app with it so that you could like put in, like, let's say it's you and you've got your friend and your friend's grandmother passed away and her name was Ellen. You could be like, you could tell you like, this is Ellen, and
make the thing move around.
Disappointed in you. This is Ellen. Check under the oak tree in the backyard for something I left behind. You know what I'm saying? So you're doing it, and like, oh my gosh. And it's like, it'd be like, don't walk around alone at night. Something like that. Like, you could just scare people. But I'm not trying to. That's bad juju. I don't like that.
The end result would be a nice, just a nice normal prank. Nothing.
Well, and you could go the other way. Be like, oh my gosh, if somebody's girlfriend died, you know what I'm saying? You could be like, hey, this is Jennifer speaking to you. I love you. Move on. Yeah. This isn't your fault. You could do things like that too, but I would be like, this is Jennifer. I watch you when you sleep. You know what I'm saying? Like, just like, I'm not sleeping anymore. Gotta shake him off. Shake him off.
If you're still with us, yes, shake him off. If you're still with us, you're welcome. And speaking of creepy, this chapter 2 of the Chamber of Secrets is called Dobby's Warning, but I like to call it Bulging Eyes because, he was hiding in the bushes. So,
which you thought up until last week was serious. So that's fun.
Yeah, well, then I started listening to the second chapter, and it explained right off the bat that it was Dobby, and I went, oh. I must have not think. I think when it comes up, I go, oh yeah, it's serious, and then the next chapter, oh, that's right, it's Dobby. So that's right, it's Dobby. We'll get into our 7-word summary and put everybody in a little bit less creepy mood, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, so my 7-word summary: bulging eyes. It's just a house elf.
I like it. Mine is, Dobby, you suck. But you meant well.
Oh, he felt so bad, too.
He did. He did it. He felt the remorse, yes. We get it.
So we won't do much of a recap on the last chapter. Last chapter, we just basically opened it back up. Harry's back at the Dursleys, and they're not treating him much better. They're a little bit scared of him because, but then, well, we find out what happens in this chapter.
Yeah.
So we're going to start out with the opening paragraph as usual. Harry managed not to shout out, but it was a close thing. The little creature on the bed had large bat-like ears and bulging green eyes the size of tennis balls. Harry knew instantly this was what had been watching him outside the garden hedge that morning. Not serious.
Not serious, who is currently locked up.
Yeah. This creature bowed to Harry, and I'm pretty sure it says his nose touched the ground. He bowed so low. He was dressed at, I guess you could say, inappropriately. He was basically wearing a pillowcase. And this creature's name?
A dirty one.
As we've been saying, is Dobby. Yes, a very dirty, nasty old pillowcase.
Mm-hmm.
Dobby the house elf. We will get into what a house elf is here shortly. He could not be more excited to meet Harry Potter. Remember back in the first book when Harry was saying people often bowed to him and waved at him as if they knew him? And when Hagrid took him to Diagon Alley, it was no different. People would shake his hand, tell him what an honor it was to finally meet him. This is pretty much exactly how Dobby was talking about Harry.
You know, and I wonder how he felt. Like, obviously, this is another creature from the wizarding world. You know, oh, he starts bowing, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh my gosh, everyone, stop it!" Or was he like, "Oh, how do you know me?" Like, because he doesn't even know what
I
a
think it's
house
the
elf is.
latter. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
he
think
doesn't
it's
even
the
know what a
latter.
house elf is. But
But
you know,
Dobby is acting like he just met his hero.
oh yeah, so
Yeah.
honored over and over again.
Yeah.
But so Dobby is here, so we have to remember from chapter one, there is a dinner party, as it was mentioned, going on downstairs. Uncle Vernon has the Masons over,
They put on their own play, huh?
a
Their own little
husband and
show.
wife. Yes, they are wanting to secure a big order of drills and drill components. So big, in fact, that if they land this contract, they could be looking for vacation homes by tomorrow. So this is a big deal.
Yeah.
And so the scripted meeting, of course, planned by Vernon and hopefully appropriately executed by Dudley and Petunia, is going on. So naturally, having a house elf in Harry's room, Harry reiterates like this is a terrible time for you to be here. And as he brings this up, he asks Dobby to sit down. And to you and me, to Harry, that's just a simple, yeah, sit down. Like,
Yeah.
what you got to do. But to Dobby, this was maybe one of the single greatest things a wizard or another human being ever did to him. No one's ever asked him to sit down before. And Dobby starts to cry. He obviously very much overreacts to this. And he starts to cry loudly. And Harry doesn't want that. That's the last thing that he wants. So, Dobby even says, Dobby has never been asked to sit down by a wizard like an equal. And then Harry goes, you can't have met many decent wizards. And
No,
as weird as
I
this,
haven't.
yeah, and especially when we learn whose house elf he actually is, which is a great thing that I think J.K. Rowling did. So Dobby started to punish himself. He started to beat himself, started to hit himself. And that's also loud. And Harry is not wanting. But remember, Harry, what's your job tonight at this dinner party? Where will you be?
In my room,
I'll
making
be
a
in my
noise
room.
and pretending that I don't exist.
Right you are.
Oh man, and what is Vernon? I think we get to it in a little bit. We'll bring it up here in a little bit. So this goes on for a while. I mean, I would assume we've heard of people punishing themselves, right? So I guess it's not completely out of the ordinary, but man, Dobby says he's even burned his hands and with an iron, and
Yeah.
he was hitting himself over the head with a lamp and throwing himself against a wall. Like I think of Jim Carrey in Liar Liar
Oh my
in
gosh.
that bathroom
What a
scene.
great
That's pretty
performance.
much what's going on with Dobby.
Wait, you've watched Liar Liar?
Of course.
Wow. This is a big day. This is a
All
big
right.
day.
So, okay, we'll go into why he's doing this. So the reason for Dobby doing this is because he has a master. So each house elves are destined to serve one master. Now I'll go into a little bit of detail right here, but this it might need a side quest because there's a lot going on with house elves.
Sure.
They can do magic. So I'll give the quick rundown. So a house elf serves a master. An elf must do whatever the master says, whenever the master says it. But you must be careful how you word anything you tell an elf because they might take your order quite literally. But a house elf is not supposed to go see other people. They're supposed to stay where they are unless instructed otherwise. So Dobby being at Harry Potter's house or Uncle Vernon's house, he's breaking the rules. And Dobby kind of explains this because he's there. He must punish himself. That's the punishment. He punished.
Sure.
I don't know I should have looked it up, but I don't know if that's the same for every house elf or if when they break the rules, they give themselves whatever form of punishment they think is fit.
Well, and I think because Dobby mentions, and we might go over it, his masters will even suggest to him sometimes that he should do extra punishments.
So he could have learned it from that.
Yeah, so we only see a few house elves with their masters in the books. We see 3 that I can think of off the top of my head.
Yeah.
The Malfoys, the Crouches, and then Hepzibah, the lady that has Hufflepuff's cup. Is her name Hepzibah? I can't remember. Yes, because
the blacks.
Oh yeah. So we had the blacks. Yeah, that's Sirius's. So those 3, and then the lady that whoever Voldemort got the cup from. I think her name was Hepzibah Smith. But
yes.
Yeah, we meet her. So
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So Dobby, we learn, doesn't love his masters. But Creature does love Sirius's mom. Like, loves her. And so I feel like it's one of those, like the house elves, there are kind masters, kind of like dogs, right? I mean, there are kind masters, and then there are just absolute jerks.
Yeah.
And then there's people that are members of SPEW that don't believe in house elf servitude.
Yeah. So, anyways, the information he's giving Harry, he's not supposed to be giving him the information because Harry's not his master, and he was not instructed to go there. So Dobby not only has to punish himself for going to see Harry Potter, but he also has to punish himself for talking to Harry Potter. So he's breaking every rule right now. Breaking all the
rules, yeah.
And as we go on, he kind of respects Harry, and I think he just keeps.
Well, he already
rules.
Respects Harry.
Yeah, his admiration for Harry, I would assume.
Because he says, like, I had heard you're a great wizard, but I had no idea that you were just
greatness.
So.
So that's just a brief rundown on the house elves. There's a lot more to it. Like I said, they can do magic, and I think we're gonna do a deep dive on the house elves. I think we should do that. So Dobby's sitting there trying to tell Harry Potter something, and he can't quite get the words out because he has to keep punishing himself by beating himself up very loudly.
Very loudly.
Harry keeps trying to console Dobby, which just makes it absolutely more worse.
Yeah, nothing Harry can do is solving the issue of how loud Dobby is being.
Well, Harry consoling Dobby is making Dobby feel bad for breaking the rules, but at the same time, it's making Dobby's admiration towards Harry Potter greater and greater.
Yes, so he's got dueling emotions right now, like the shame of basically doing what he's not supposed to do, and just the adoration of.
Well, it's the classic devil on one shoulder, angel on the other shoulder.
There you go. But Dobby does manage to finally come around and tell Harry why he's there, and tells Harry Potter must not go back to Hogwarts. So this is
you said it wrong. You said it wrong.
Harry Potter must not go back to Hogwarts.
Yes.
Was that good? We're good there.
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah.
Try to do that, John Lithgow. He probably could. It'd probably be so good. So there's the plot. There's a plot to get Harry Potter. There's something scheming against Harry Potter, which
surprise.
Harry's like, no, crazy.
That didn't already happen. No.
No.
Oh, you mean I defeated Voldemort again? No.
So, all right, let's do it. So, Harry Potter must not go back to Hogwarts. There is a plot, Harry Potter. A plot to make the most terrible things happen at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry this year. Dobby has known it for months, sir. Harry Potter must not put himself in peril. He is too important, sir.
Yes.
Insane. And
Yes.
I'll tell you this. Dobby is my second favorite house elf in the story. So I'm just going to go ahead and throw that out there right now.
Okay.
He's a very close second. So obviously, Harry's mind is racing. He's full of questions. But now that Dobby has basically said all of this stuff, things that he shouldn't have overheard, probably, and things that he definitely shouldn't have told Harry, now he's got to punish himself again. So as he's doing that, Dobby's making so much noise at this point that Uncle Vernon. So there was already a point where Dobby was being loud, and Harry felt like he heard like them stop talking downstairs.
Yeah.
Right. So panic. So now Uncle Vernon comes up to the bedroom.
You've just ruined the punchline of my Japanese golfer joke. One more sound and you'll wish you'd never been born, boy. I had to do it.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful. And now I have to look up Japanese golfer joke.
While you're looking that up, I wanted to bring up Harry Potter, his reaction to seeing a house elf in his bedroom. A house elf. A house, like, think of this. A creature, not a person. A creature is in his bedroom, and Harry, he's pretty calm about this. And I think he might have freaked out a little bit more had Dobby not been beating himself up. I guess that's what's distracting Harry from freaking out so much over seeing a magical creature, a creature he's never seen before in his bedroom. What's your opinion on that?
Hold on, I'm trying to read this Japanese golfer joke. I don't know if it's appropriate. Oh no, we can't. Yeah, we can't air that one. No, no, that's terrible. Oh my gosh.
Okay, the Japanese golfer joke is a very dirty joke.
Well, hold on. That looks like there was a list of Japanese golf. They're all long, but
not appropriate for our podcast.
Not appropriate for our podcast.
All right. Well, that being said, why do you think Harry is not in panic and shock and disbelief about this house elf being in his bedroom? Because his reaction to it is pretty calm.
Well, again, he went to Hogwarts. He went to Diagon Alley. So he's seen the goblins, right? He saw centaurs. He saw unicorns. So I don't think he saw a baby dragon. Okay. So I don't think seeing Dobby, I don't think seeing Dobby would have surprised him too much. And I also don't think that, there's a plot against you, Harry Potter. Yeah, there's a guy that's been trying to kill me since I was 1. So
that's fair. That's fair.
You know what I'm saying? That's like,
yeah. All right, so I guess we can't tell the Japanese golfer joke.
Oh my god!
Maybe we can tell it, and I'll just bleep out the whole entire joke. I wonder if we can figure out which one it was, or which one is implied.
Only JK. Because there were a couple listed there. I just read the first one. And
we'll have to find that out, and if we find it out, we'll go ahead and post it on our Instagram at Squibs Corner. So, well, now Harry Potter pretty much had now you can see what I'm dealing with attitude after Vernon came barging into his room, spitting demands at him, because he's been explaining to Dobby, like, hey, shh, calm down, quiet, don't be so loud. Harry Potter started to explain that he doesn't have friends in the Muggle world. He needs to go back to Hogwarts where his friends are. Well, this is where we find out his friends have actually been writing to him all summer long. Mm-hmm. And who's been intercepting those letters?
Dobby. So Dobby's been this isn't just a one-off thing. Dobby has been working hard on this for ever since Hogwarts got out.
And it continues.
Yeah, and it continues. He's not done helping.
Yeah, helping.
Helping.
So now the chase was on at this point. All summer long, his friends have been writing to him. All summer long, Harry felt like maybe his friends forgot about him. Or, like I said in the first book a couple times, Harry's thinking, well, this could still be an elaborate joke.
Yeah. Did this even happen?
Yeah. Are the Dursleys, punking me? But then Harry goes, he probably thinks, well, they wouldn't do that. They just wouldn't. They don't have the imagination to do that.
Yeah.
They just wouldn't do that. So he's pretty low at this point. Again, if you remember, Harry went from 0 to hero, back to 0.
Yeah. Not hearing from anybody since school was out, I think, especially with how bad the Dursleys, his home life is. It's yeah. And you got to remember, he's still having PTSD. He's waking up in the middle of the night in cold sweats, thinking about narrowly escaping Voldemort just weeks ago. So, so one of the things that Petunia had made for this dinner party, the business dinner, was something described as a mountainous pudding cake. So something that would look like a giant cake, or maybe a wedding cake, something like that. So when Harry tells Dobby, I'm going back to Hogwarts, he's like, no, you can't. And Harry's like, look where I am. I'm going back to Hogwarts.
Hogwarts is my... Does he say Hogwarts is my home?
Yeah. And so Dobby's like, okay. So before you know it, Dobby runs downstairs. Right.
I have no choice.
Harry has already been reprimanded by Uncle Vernon for being too loud. Now a house elf, whom he has just met, has run downstairs. So instead of Harry just staying in his room, he could have just stayed up there and pled, well, I wasn't down there. A house elf, I've been in my room. No, he follows because he's 12. So I get it.
Would you have followed or been like,
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Nope.
Wonder where he's going.
Yeah, this is on you. I'm not being blamed for this.
Right.
I'm not.
Right.
Where did that house elf come from? Bro, you saw me in my room. I'm in my room. I've done nothing.
Yeah.
I've done nothing. But
well, he
no.
still would have gotten in trouble either way.
He would have gotten in trouble, but he could have claimed, like, look, I was up here, I wasn't doing anything. But Harry wanting to save the day, wanting to solve.
Don't be the hero. Don't be the hero.
Yeah, he goes down there. And all of a sudden, this cake starts hovering. And they're in the kitchen. Everyone else is in the living room, parlor, whatever you want to call it. And Dobby and Harry, they give each other a look. And again, Harry Potter must not go back to Hogwarts. Say it. And he's like, I can't say it. So then Dobby's like, I got no choice. I got to do this. I'm doing this for you. I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for you. Next thing we know, the cake has fallen, splattered all over the kitchen. And then my boy Dobby, disapparated. He's out of there.
It's so great.
So they all run in to catch Harry standing there.
I would love to be able to disapparate and apparate. Oh
my gosh. Yeah. It'd be great. It'd be great.
But
then Uncle Vernon had to be quick on his feet, which he does a good job here. He does a good job here.
He does. He tries to blow it all over by making up lies about Harry Potter. Like, meeting strangers upsets him. That's why we keep him upstairs. Pretty much anything.
Disturbed, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much anything he could say to kind of distract everybody from what just happened and to put Harry in a bad light.
Sure.
And, of course, Harry was in trouble. Why wouldn't he be? I guess this is where the perfect scripted out dinner finally failed. The Dursley
But it wasn't
fails.
over. Like, he had it. He had it back. Right? I think Vernon had it back. I think the Masons were like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Yeah, he's disturbed. Okay, cool. Yeah. But
you got to remember, magic.
But then.
So, just to make sure the deal didn't work with Vernon, an owl flew through the window and dropped a letter on Mrs. Mason's head. Well,
did it drop it on her head in the book?
I think that's what it said.
I can't.
But
Yeah. I can't.
either way, a bird came in
Yeah.
very, very near
Yeah.
Mrs.
But
Mason.
yeah, because in the movie, the pudding drops on her head,
yeah. So,
and in the book, the letter.
what's the issue with this bird? What's the big deal with this bird?
Mrs. Mason has one true fear in this world, which is a weird fear that I have never heard of. She has a fear of birds, which is called ornithophobia.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Ornithophobia.
But
Poor Mrs. Mason.
They assumed it was all one big joke and promptly left. I'm sure Vernon did not know she was deathly afraid of birds.
Who would have known?
No, how? No, that's not. It's probably not something you bring up in conversation.
Yeah.
I guess if you're outside watching the birds fly around, it might come up. But I think this is the first time that they've met the Masons.
She saw an Alfred Hitchcock movie, and she's been deathly afraid of birds ever since.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I get it.
At this point, Vernon is so mad he almost was at a loss for words, but he's just laser focused on this letter and forces Harry to read it in front of them. Now, I'm going to have to pull this from the book because I believe it holds a lot of knowledge that we need to know about the wizarding world. Now, in the book, it's not a howler, right? In the movie, it's a howler, right?
Oh, really? I'm not sure. It's been
Yeah, in the movie, it reads it out loud.
a long time.
I mean, she's not yelling, but...
Right.
So, dear Mr. Potter, we have received intelligence that a hover charm was used at your place of residence this evening at 12 minutes past 9. As you know, underage wizards are not permitted to perform spells outside of school, and further spell work on your part may lead to expulsion from said school. Decree for reasonable restriction of underage sorcery, 1875, paragraph C. We would also ask you to remember that any magical activity that risks notice by members of the non-magical community, Muggles, is a serious offense under Section 13 of the International Confederation of Warlock Statute of Sorcery. Enjoy your holidays. Sincerely, Mafalda Hopkirk. In proper use of Magic Office, Ministry of Magic.
I've got a couple issues with this. I hate government, number one.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
I hate government. So I don't like that the Ministry of Magic can just track where magic is happening.
They can track where the magic is. They can't track who specifically did the magic, which in this case, Dobby did the magic. But since there's two, Dobby and Harry, they didn't know which one it come from. So they know Harry lives there and assumed it was him.
So here's my second and even bigger issue with that. Is disapparation and apparition magic?
Well, he used the hover charm, Dobby.
Did he also apparate?
I would assume he did.
Did he also disapparate?
Yeah.
Is that not magic?
I wonder what form of magic that would go under.
Because remember, later on, Dobby can apparate in an area where wizards can't.
Yeah.
And wizards have to have their wands to apparate and disapparate, which means that they would have to use magic. Like it's a magical thing. So wouldn't they then, if they're tracing magic, be like, oh, we actually trace somebody apparate, do a hover charm, and then disapparate?
You should make a note of this, and we can follow it up on the house elf Squibbler. That way, we can see if there's a loophole, or
we'll see
if certain things from house elves.
Dobby
cannot be
has checked the
traced.
bylaws.
I would assume he has. I mean, he's pretty smart, actually.
Well, and let's think about it this way. Let's deep dive a little farther. If Dobby was really, because Dobby's obviously been around wizards for a long time, right? A long time.
Yeah.
So he probably knows that, him saying, okay, well, I've got to do this so that you can't go. Maybe he knew the hover charm
would
was
trigger
traceable.
something. Yeah.
So he knew that the Dursleys were going to be upset, and he knew that the Ministry of Magic was going to be upset. Maybe he came in. No, maybe Dobby is a genius.
Yeah,
And I'm over here being like, well, the Ministry, they should have been able to see the magic of him getting there, and then the magic of him leaving there. But maybe he knew that was untraceable since he could leave the dungeon at the Malfoy Manor and wizards couldn't. Maybe he knew that was not wizard magic. Elf apparition and disapparition, that is not wizard magic, but a hover charm is. Dobby's a genius. Highest IQ. Wow. Oh my gosh.
I'm going to look this up right now.
The adrenaline coursing through my veins right now, having us gone down that little rabbit hole.
Yeah, why didn't the Ministry detect Dobby apparating? So
maybe, just maybe, it's just like Voldemort when he's in the cave and he took Creature. He knew that the magic wouldn't see a full-blown wizard there. Oh my gosh, I'm super excited about this. I'm nerding out about Dobby.
Well, it says here.
Talk to me, Goose.
That Ron actually mentions that apparition is unique to elves and it's not the same as wizards. So it might not be detectable by the Ministry, just like you were saying, the same way wizard enchantments cannot prevent them from apparating or disapparating. So it could be that it just wasn't detectable, but then that still brings up.
Talk to me.
Well, if he's doing the hover charm, there is a clear presence of magic.
But
since they didn't detect Dobby disapparating or apparating, the only person to point the finger at is Harry. But we will see. This is why we need to do a scribbler on the house elves.
Okay, fine.
Back to our regularly scheduled chapter.
Fine. Sorry. I'm glad whoever is listening right now, I hope you enjoyed that little nerd out session.
Hey, this is why we're here.
This is why we're here.
And it sounds like the next episode is going to be house elves.
I mean,
it's going to be a blast.
I've literally read and listened to all 7 books, I think 16 times.
I'm probably right there with you, if not more.
So I have. So to be able to have this conversation and then those thoughts like, and some people listening have probably never been like, oh, I never thought about him apparating and disapparating from number 4 Privet Drive.
I never did.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So that's my mind, yeah. So that's what. Hey, welcome to Squibs Corner, baby.
You may be thinking, oh, you're thinking too much. No. This is the whole point of this podcast. And let me tell you this: if we're not thinking too much about something, and you're like, why didn't they talk about that? Let us know.
Let us know.
We'll be glad to talk about it.
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah.
So now, right after that, he reads that, and Vernon is like,
oh, yes. Yeah.
You didn't tell us you couldn't do magic. You left that out there, didn't ya? So, but you got to remember, everything's already locked in the cupboard under the stairs anyway. So it's not like he's getting to anything. But now, now they know. So Harry's bedroom has now been turned into basically a prison cell. There's bars on the outside windows. The door is locked. There's like a little cat flap type deal where he gets a meal or two a day.
Legit,
you know what I'm saying?
like a prison that you hear about in books. I mean,
and Vernon is just super happy. They're such terrible people, right? They're such terrible people,
but they're so good at it.
And now he's laughing because he knows if Harry does any magic, like he's going to be expelled. And we get this in another, not just this time, but Harry next time he gets fed up about it. But he's like, yeah, do magic and you're something's happening.
I thought this was curious. Why do you think Vernon is okay? This is the second time he's used the word. Why do you think he's okay with using the word magic specifically?
in front of...
he's saying it with glee and he's giddy about it.
Yeah. I think this is like an open-ended opinion question, not really a pop quiz, but I'm for it. I just
found it curious.
Yeah, so it's almost like, especially at this point right now, Vernon is a bully, right? Yeah. Vernon is a bully, and I think the most devious bullies, like, I could insult you about things that you don't care about, and it wouldn't hurt you, right? But I could be like, oh man, your kid, and you'd be like, whoa, my spider sensor's going off. Whatever you're about to say, you better make sure, right? That's something that would hit close to home. So for Harry to not be able to use magic, to not be going back to Hogwarts, I think Vernon is like, that is the biggest ammo that is going to make this more miserable for Harry. That would be my...
The scales just tilted in my favor.
Yeah. That's
I just found it curious because he's saying it with passion, and he could have used a different word, but he chose to use that word because usually when he says magic, it's magic with anger, disdain. So
and now he's using it as it's a taunt, I think. Yeah. And magic was Harry's upper hand, right? That is what he had. That was what he was holding over the Vernon. So now that the Dursleys know that he can't do magic, they relish it. So days come, days go. Head was upset. Harry's upset. And now he's having odd dreams, restless nights. All his freedom is gone. And Harry's having this dream. And he hears something growling, rumbling, whatever, and it's getting louder, and he kind of wakes up, and he still hears it, and there's lights coming through his bedroom door, and
he's on the
bedroom window. The window.
Story.
So he goes and he looks out, and he sees Ron out of his second-story window, and boom, end scene, end chapter.
So I think I'll start off the final thoughts by saying it still sort of feels like an introduction.
For sure.
Almost like a romp. It just showed us a little bit more insight to the Dursleys. It's more of a fun chapter. It introduced Dobby, and it introduced, the way they... Oh, how can I word it? The way they enforce the rules about underage magic.
Sure. Yeah, we get a little more of the Dursleys in this.
Yeah.
We get a little more of the magical world in this, right? We're introduced to a new magical creature, not just a new magical creature, but a new character.
Yeah.
And some
couple new characters, the Masons.
Sure.
I mean, we don't see him again.
But we knew at the end of the first year that that underage, wizards and witches shouldn't do magic, but I don't think we knew that it was traceable.
I think Al got there quick too.
Yeah, Al got there super quick. So we learn a little bit more, and now we see, and in future books this comes up. This is like a strike one for Harry. This little incident doesn't just come up in this book; it comes up later. So, but I full on still just an introduction to easing into the plot of the Chamber
puts
of
more
Secrets.
of a negative light on the Dursleys too, because we've all read books that they're talking about characters, and maybe it gets to the next book and something's not matching up. Like I've read and listened to plenty of books, and I've listened and read the second one and going, what? I have no idea what's going on. Why is everything different? What?
Tell me that I've got a question for you. Tell me, so in the Harry Potter books, all of the chapters are titled. Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
Are you a fan of that or no? And I'll let you think about it. I'm not a fan of it.
I think I have an answer for that. I thought I was a fan of it until you and I specifically, well, maybe me and the last co-host, till we started doing this, and then some of the titles don't match up with what happens in the chat, like Halloween. The chapter was not about Halloween. You see Halloween, you expect, oh, cool, we're going to hear all about Halloween and Hogwarts. Nope.
Yeah.
So it does make a little bit more sense at 1, 2, 3, but I don't know. Yeah, that's the only thing I could think of. Yeah,
like I can't remember the specifics, but when I was first reading them, some of the chapter headings were spoiler alerts.
Dobby's warning.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So it's like,
so we're introduced to a new character before,
and we know that he's going to give us a warning. You know what I'm saying? So it's almost like, if you just give me chapter 2, now everything is new. I don't know there's a character named Dobby, and I don't know there's a warning coming.
Yeah.
I just know I come, and now everything's fresh. And I remember there were a couple of chapter headings in the last few books where it's like, well, oh man, they do that?
Yeah.
And now I read about it.
Well, there's also some books I listen to. A lot of the chapters are just titled the character that's going to be talking primarily in that chapter. So
that's how it is in Game of Thrones.
It could be chapter 2, Andrew. Chapter 3, Andrew. Chapter 4, Jeremiah. And I'm like, that's one, that's lazy, and 2, what's the point of doing that? You know?
Well, and I'm cool with it because in Game of Thrones there were so many characters.
If you got a lot of characters, but if you're doing the same 2 or 3 characters, you know, it's unnecessary.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you're gonna know who's talking.
Yeah, I'm cool. I'm cool with just chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, but also in the same vein, like the chapter heading, "The Boy Who Lived." Like, I mean, so good, so good.
It is, yeah.
But anyway, it's just a thought.
So all that being said, join us next time as we review chapter 3 of the Chamber of Secrets, The Burrow, which I'm actually excited about this chapter now.
Oh yeah.
Andrew, go ahead and sign us out.
Let's leave you with this one. You sort of start thinking anything's possible if you've got enough nerve. Squibs Corner is hosted by Jeremiah Lobaugh and co-hosted by Andrew Beecham, myself. We would love to hear from you, so drop us a rate and review. To inquire about being a guest, or if you have questions, comments, or just want to give us your Harry Potter story, email us at squibscorner@gmail.com. To watch Harry Potter merch unboxings, follow Jeremiah's YouTube, Accio Potter Guy. Lastly, you can leave us a voice memo and follow us on Instagram at Squibs Corner Podcast.